The white gardenia. Every birthday, beginning when I was 12 years old, something strange and beautiful happened. A single white gardenia would arrive at my house. There was never a card, never a name, never even a clue. Just one perfect white flower, carefully wrapped in soft pink tissue paper. And somehow, year after year, it always found its way to me. At first, I was determined to discover who was sending it. I called the florist. I asked questions. I tried to figure out who had paid for it. But whoever sent the flowers knew exactly how to remain invisible. The arrangements were always paid for in cash. No message, no signature, nothing. Eventually, I stopped trying to solve the mystery. Instead, I began to enjoy it. That one gardenia became something I looked forward to every year. Its delicate white petals, its sweet fragrance. The feeling that somewhere in the world someone was thinking about me. And as a young girl, I couldn't help imagining who that person might be. Maybe it was a boy who secretly liked me. Maybe it was someone I had helped without realizing how much it meant to them. Maybe it was a person I had never even met. My imagination created dozens of possibilities. And my mother loved encouraging every one of them. She would smile and ask, "Well, is there anyone you've been especially kind to lately?" Then she would remind me of the little things I had done. Like the time I helped our neighbor unload groceries while her children ran around the car. Or the winter when I collected the mail for an elderly man who lived across the street because his steps became dangerous when they were covered in ice. My mother always noticed those things. She taught me that kindness didn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes kindness was simply noticing that someone needed help and doing something about it. She also taught me something else, that being loved wasn't supposed to come only from one person. She wanted her children to believe that there was goodness in the world, that people could care about you even when you didn't know their names. And perhaps that was why the mysterious gardenia meant so much to me. It wasn't just a flower. It was proof that somewhere, somehow, I mattered. Then I turned 17. And for the first time, I thought I had figured out who the mysterious sender might be. There was a boy. I cared about him deeply. I believed, perhaps foolishly, that he might be the person behind the flowers. But one night, everything changed. He called me, and when that conversation ended, I knew our relationship was over. I went to bed heartbroken. I cried until I couldn't keep my eyes open. The next morning, I woke up feeling as though the world has lost all its color. Then I looked toward the mirror. Written across it in red lipsticks were the words, "Heed this well. When half gods go, the god arrive." I stared at the message for a long time. It was a line my mother had once told me about. I didn't understand it completely, but I understood what she wanted me to know. Losing someone, even someone you love, doesn't necessarily mean your life is ending. Sometimes it means something new is beginning. I left that message on the mirror for days, and slowly my heart began to heal. I eventually went back to school. I laughed again, I made plans. Life became normal. But then, just 1 month before my high school graduation, tragedy came. My father died suddenly of a heart attack. There was no warning, no final conversation, no chance to say goodbye. One day he was there, the next day he wasn't. And suddenly, all the little things I had taken for granted became the things I missed most. His voice, his footsteps, the sound of him coming through the door. The ordinary moments I never realized were precious. I was devastated. But my grief wasn't simple. It was mixed with anger. I was angry that he would never see me graduate. Angry that he would miss the ceremony. Angry that he wouldn't see what happened next in my life. I had worked so hard for that graduation. I had dreamed about college. I had imagined leaving home and beginning a new chapter. but suddenly leaving felt wrong. It felt safe to stay. I even considered giving up my plans and attending college close to home. Because when someone you love disappears, the world suddenly feels dangerous. You start wondering what else you might lose. My mother understood. She didn't tell me to move on. She didn't tell me to stop crying. She simply stayed beside me. She let me grieve. And whenever I felt as though I couldn't take another step, she reminded me that my father would never want fear to become the reason I stopped living. Then graduation day arrived. I remember looking around at all the families. Parents taking pictures, fathers smiling proudly, mothers crying, and I felt the emptiness beside me. My father should have been there. I could almost hear his voice, and for a moment I wanted to leave. Then I remembered something my mother had said. Your father would want to see what you do with the life he helped give you. So I walked across that stage. I accepted my diploma, and although I smiled for the photographs, part of me was crying inside. After graduation, I began preparing for college. It was frightening. Leaving home meant leaving the place where everything felt familiar. But I knew I had to go. Not because I had stopped missing my father, but because I was beginning to understand that love doesn't always ask us to stay. Sometimes love asks us to keep going. Then, on my birthday, the gardenia arrived again. I held the flower in my hands and stared at it. For the first time, it didn't feel mysterious. It felt personal, almost as though someone was reminding me, you are still loved. Years passed, I went to college. I built a life. There were successes, there were failures, there were relationships that lasted and others that didn't. There were moments when I felt completely lost. And somehow, every birthday, the white gardenia continued to arrive. Always one flower, always anonymous, always paid for in cash. Eventually, I stopped wondering who sent it. I didn't need to know. The flower had become part of my life. A quiet reminder of my childhood, of my mother, of my father, of heartbreak, of healing, of every version of myself I had been. Then one year, something unexpected happened. My mother became seriously ill. Suddenly, I found myself sitting beside her in a hospital room. The woman who had always seemed so strong now looked fragile. I held her hand. We talked about my childhood. We laughed about our memories. And then I finally asked the question I had carried for most of my life. Mom, who sent the gardenias? She looked at me. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she smiled. And I knew. I knew before she even spoke. It was your father, she said. My heart stopped. What? Your father sent them. I couldn't speak. She explained that he had started the tradition when I was 12. He wanted to give me something that would remind me that I was loved. But he didn't want me to know it was him. He wanted the mystery to make me imagine all the possibilities. He wanted me to believe that the world could be kind. And after he died, my mother continued the tradition. Every year, every birthday, one white gardenia, paid for in cash, no card, no name. She had kept the secret because she knew how much the flower meant to me. I started crying. All those years, I had imagined a mysterious stranger, a secret admirer, someone somewhere who thought I was special. And the truth was even more beautiful. It had been my father, the person who had loved me before I even understood what love meant. The person who had quietly watched me grow. The person who had wanted to give me something that would survive long after he was gone. I looked at my mother through my tears. Why didn't you ever tell me? She squeezed my hand. Because your father wanted the flowers to teach you something. What? that love doesn't always announce itself. I thought about that for a long time. Then I understood. My father had been teaching me without ever saying a word. He had taught me that love could be quiet, that kindness could be anonymous, that the smallest gesture could remain in someone's heart for decades. And perhaps most importantly, he had taught me that even after someone leaves this world, their love can remain. The next morning, my mother gave me something. It was an old photograph of my father. On the back, he had written a single sentence. For every year she grows, give her one reminder that she is loved. I held the photograph against my chest, and suddenly, every gardenia I had ever received came rushing back. The 12-year-old girl waiting at the door, the teenager imagining secret admirers, the 17-year-old crying over a broken heart, the young woman standing alone at her graduation, the daughter grieving her father, and finally, the woman sitting beside her mother discovering the truth. The gardenias had never really been about the flowers. They were about the invisible things that hold us together: love, memory, kindness, hope. Sometimes we spend our lives searching for the person behind a beautiful gesture. We want a name, an explanation, a reason. But perhaps the greatest gifts are the ones that teach us to stop asking who and simply appreciate that someone cared. Years later, whenever I smell gardenia, I think of my father. I think of my mother. And I think of that little girl who believed someone out there was secretly thinking about her. She was right. Someone was. Someone always had been. And even after he was gone, he still was. Because some forms of love don't disappear when a person dies. They remain in memories, in traditions, in photographs, in quiet acts of kindness. And sometimes they remain in one perfect white gardenia. So, if someone has ever done something kind for you without asking for recognition, don't take it for granted. And if you have the chance to make someone feel loved, don't wait for the perfect moment. Do it quietly. Do it sincerely. You may never know how long that small act will stay with them. Because we often remember the grand moments of our lives, but sometimes it is the smallest gesture: a flower, a handwritten note, a hand held during a different moment, or someone simply showing up. That becomes the memory we carry forever, and perhaps that's the real lesson of the white gardenia. Love doesn't always need to be seen to be real. Sometimes the deepest love is the love we don't recognize until years later. And sometimes the people who love us most are leaving little reminders behind, hoping that one day, when we finally understand, we'll realize we were never alone.